Heatwaves are becoming more frequent and intense around the world, and records are dropping almost yearly. The extreme temperatures are disastrous for plants and animals alike, and many will perish once the mercury rises above 40 degrees Celsius or 104 Fahrenheit. Our nursery has experienced many over the years. Here west of Sydney in Australia, 40 degrees in summer is not unusual, but to make matters worse, our UV is stronger than the rest of the world due to Australia's proximity to the sun in summer. Although succulents tend to get through heat waves better than most other plants, they too can suffer damage and even die. Much depends on the species, age and length of sun exposure during a heat wave. In this video we will have a look at how hot it actually gets in the sun versus forecast temperatures, which succulents are most vulnerable and when not during heat waves, and most importantly, how to protect them. When you see a forecast, it refers to shade temperatures, not full sun. On a hot day, the temperature in the sun can be 10 to 15 degrees higher than what the forecast will tell you. On a 40 degrees Celsius day or 104 Fahrenheit, this can translate to over 50 degrees Celsius or 122 Fahrenheit in direct sun. Rays so strong can cook a plant and make succulents turn to mush. Direct sun on a hot day is dangerous for succulents because of UV. It burns the plants just like it burns our skin. If you stayed in the sun even for short periods during a heat wave, you could easily seriously injure yourself. Plants are a little more resilient, but they too can burn if the UV is strong enough. The burning power of direct sun in a heat wave is the real danger. Succulents will easily cope with temperatures above 45 degrees Celsius or 113 Fahrenheit if they are in shade. And so the solution to keeping succulents happy during dangerous temperatures is obvious. Now let's have a closer look at a few different methods of how to look after succulents during a heat wave. Now that we've established that direct sun during a heat wave is the most dangerous thing for succulents and other plants, let's see how they can be protected from the harmful UV and getting burned. The absolute best way to protect succulents in a heat wave is to move them into shade or create shade. Small pot plants are easily moved, but big heavy pots or succulents in the ground may need an overhead covering to block the sun. Succulents in pots are likely to suffer much more during heat waves than succulents planted in the ground. The reason for this is the pot heating up, especially if it's dark colored, and can literally cook the roots or severely stress the plant. The ground stays relatively cool and so do the roots, which helps the plant cope with the heat. Despite this, when the temperatures goes over 40 degrees or 104 Fahrenheit, even plants in the ground can get burned, and it won't hurt to give them a bit of reprieve from the scorching sun. At the nursery, we use shade cloth to protect our plants from harmful UV during heat waves. Shade cloth reflects UV back and lets enough sun through to keep succulents happy. It can also double as a comfy doggy bed. You can buy different grades of shade cloth, but I would recommend no more than 50% shade factor, especially if you're thinking of long-term use. We have 30% over our succulents throughout summer. If it's only to protect succulents during a heat wave, then any shade cloth can be used. There is a link in the description to purchase shade cloth. It is not always necessary to buy shade cloth. Items that can be found around the home will work perfectly fine too. Umbrellas, portable gazebos or even bed sheets will create good enough shade and protect plants from burning. Whichever method you choose, there will need to be some clearance between the plant and the covering. For instance, if shade cloth or any other type of cloth is used, it will have to be pitched over something like bamboo sticks or star posts. If the cloth touched the plants, they would burn. For those of you with a bit of collection or rare succulents, it might be worthwhile purchasing a small greenhouse. The shade cloth may need to be bought separately, as most greenhouses come with a plastic cover, but it is well worth the investments and will keep your plants safe. Shade cloth should also be secured to the structure, as it can be quite windy during heat waves and the cloth can get blown away. When using umbrellas or gazebos, think of the sun movement. Additional shade may need to be created down the sides. During a heat wave, succulents should not be starved of water either, especially succulents with small or thin leaves such as the sedum on the left. Not all succulents are equally hardy, and when it comes to heatwaves, some will fare better than others. I could be here for days listing the hardiest species and cultivars, and so I'm going to generalize a bit and instead talk about the genus. Succulents in these genera are mostly very hardy and likely to survive a heatwave even if unprotected. You can pause to read. And succulents in these genera are most likely to burn severely or die during a heatwave in direct sun. There are of course exceptions. For instance, many Echeveria are quite hardy and would survive a heatwave, but in my experience most will die or burn severely when exposed to very hot sun. In conclusion, the best way to protect and care for succulents in a heatwave is to take them out of direct sun. The heat is usually not a problem while succulents are in a shaded spot. Shade can also be created by putting up a structure over succulents. Umbrellas, gazebos, shade cloths or other cloths can be used. And that's it for today. If you'd like to learn more about growing succulents, you can go and see our website succulentgrowingtips.com.